All right, so get ready because we're going to take a deep dive into real-life horror.
Ooh.
Yeah, and the thing is, what really gets me about all the stories you sent in is how there are all these moments where, like, just normal, everyday stuff
Mm-hmm.
turns terrifying.
Mm.
We're talking like ski slopes and movie sets, even just going for a run in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Like stuff that could happen to any of us.
Right.
And that's what makes it so scary,
Oh,
right?
definitely.
Like the thought that this could be me.
Yeah, it's that feeling of there but for the grace of God, go.
Right, exactly.
What I find so fascinating is how these stories show us how vulnerable we are. Like,
Yeah.
even when we think we're in total control, it's
Right.
like a huge reminder that life can change in a second.
Okay, so let's jump into this first story.
Okay.
It's about skiing accidents.
Yeah.
And it really challenges this idea we all have.
Okay.
We usually think that the most dangerous slopes are those like double black diamonds,
Mm-hmm.
the ones only the experts go on.
Right.
But this source material, this pasted text document, throws us a curveball.
Yeah.
It says 54% of ski fatalities actually happen on beginner trails.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's not a statistic I was expecting.
It's a real eye-opener.
It is.
It makes you wonder, like, why? Why are beginner slopes more dangerous than we think they are?
Right?
I think one reason could be that new skiers can be a little overconfident.
Mm-hmm.
They might think they're better than they are, or not really understand how dangerous things can be on those easier slopes.
That makes sense.
You're excited, you're new to it. Maybe you're not as careful as you should be.
Totally. And there are so many people on those beginner slopes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So many more chances of running into someone, especially when you have people with different skill levels all in the same place.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like a highway with everyone going different speeds.
Mm-hmm.
Total recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
The source also talks about the physics behind skiing injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Something about helmets being designed for lower impact speeds.
Right. Most helmets are made to protect you from impacts at like 12 miles an hour.
Okay.
Which is what you'd expect from a normal fall.
Right.
But when people crash on the slopes, they're going way faster.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes 25, even 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
And that's a huge difference in force.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
No wonder the source mentions these 3 skiers who got super messed up.
Oh, God.
Broken bones, lasting trauma, all that.
Yeah.
Makes you think twice about going skiing, even if you're just sticking to the bunny hills.
Definitely a good reminder that even activities that seem low risk can still be dangerous.
Right.
It shows how important training and good equipment are, and you always got to be careful no matter how good you are.
Okay, so this next story, it's like a filmmaker's worst nightmare come true.
Uh-oh.
It happened on the set of Midnight Rider, this biopic about Greg Allman.
I've heard of that.
The crew was filming a dream sequence,
Okay.
and the location they chose, well, let's just say it didn't end well.
Ah.
This story really makes you think about how people assess risk and make decisions,
Mm-hmm.
especially in high-pressure places like a movie set.
Yeah.
It seems like they wanted to be creative, but didn't really think about how dangerous it could be.
I see.
So picture this. They're filming on actual train tracks.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they had an actor lying on a hospital bed right on the tracks
No way.
with a train coming towards him.
On active tracks.
Yes, and there are 2 videos of the whole thing.
Wow.
One from the train's point of view and the other from the crew.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, filming on active train tracks is super unusual and obviously really dangerous.
Yeah.
Sounds like they didn't plan properly or have good safety measures,
That's scary.
especially with something that could go so wrong so easily.
Right.
You can hear the panic in the recordings as the crew tries to get the bed off the tracks,
Oh, jeez.
but it's too late.
Oh, no.
Train's going full speed and smashes right into the bed,
Oh, my gosh.
sends it flying.
That's awful.
And tragically, this 27-year-old camera assistant, Sarah Jones, was killed instantly.
Wow.
It's a reminder that even in a place like a movie set where things are supposed to be controlled, the unexpected can happen.
Right.
And sometimes those unexpected things have terrible consequences.
Definitely.
The source also mentions that the director of Midnight Rider ended up going to jail because of what happened.
Mm.
And it raises those questions about who's responsible
Yeah.
and how important it is for people in charge to keep their crew safe.
Makes sense.
It's just heartbreaking, and it shows how important it is to have clear safety rules
Mm-hmm.
and to make responsible decisions in any job, really.
Absolutely. It shows that you need a culture of safety at every level of a production.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that creative ideas never put people's lives at risk.
Okay, so let's switch gears to something that's usually seen as safe and fun.
Okay.
zorbing,
Oh, yeah.
where you get in that giant inflatable ball and roll down a hill.
Seems fun.
Yeah, it seems pretty harmless, right? Well, this next story from Russia back in 2013 shows just how fast things can go bad,
Rip.
even with something as simple as zorbing.
Wow.
What's so crazy about this is how we think of inflatable things as safe.
Yeah.
And then this happens, and it's just the opposite.
Right.
We connect those inflatable things with fun and playing around.
Yeah.
So this tragedy is even more shocking because it just destroys that image. Okay, so the source tells us about these two friends, Denis Burakov and Vladimir Sherbakov, who decide to go zorbing.
Okay.
They're rolling down this slope that's meant for it,
Mm-hmm.
but then something goes wrong.
Uh-oh.
The zorb ball goes off course
Oh, no.
and starts heading down this really steep part of the mountain.
Oh, wow.
Imagine being trapped in a giant inflatable ball just tumbling down a mountain.
I can't even imagine.
Doesn't sound so fun anymore.
Not at all.
At that point, the zorb was basically an out-of-control projectile, just
Yeah.
at the mercy of gravity and whatever crazy terrain it hit. And get this, their friend was filming the whole thing, capturing the whole scary scene as rocks slam into the zorb ball.
Yikes.
It's picking up speed with every bounce.
Oh, jeez.
They even managed to stop the ball for a sec,
Okay.
but it wasn't enough.
Uh-oh.
It starts rolling again, this time toward a cliff.
Oh, my God.
The footage of that zorb going down the mountain is just a terrifying reminder of how quickly things can get out of control,
Mm-hmm.
even when you try your best to stop it.
So sad.
Sadly, Denis Burakov died from a spinal cord injury he got during the fall.
Oh, that's awful.
His friend Vladimir Sherbakov survived, but with some really bad injuries.
Wow.
It's a reminder that even activities meant for fun can have deadly consequences.
It is.
It really shows how important it is to really think about the risks
Yeah.
and to stick to safety guidelines no matter what you're doing, because there's always that element of unpredictability.
Yeah.
I can't get complacent. Okay, so let's take a deep breath and move on to a story that's a little closer to nature.
Okay.
Literally closer.
Okay.
We've got two guys out for a run in Canada, enjoying the peace and quiet,
Nice.
when they run into a black bear.
Oh.
And let's just say it wasn't exactly a friendly encounter.
Uh-oh.
This story really shows how unpredictable the wild can be
Right.
and how important it is to always be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, even in places that seem calm.
Exactly. The source makes it clear that black bear encounters can be super dangerous.
Yeah.
Over 90% of the time, these encounters are predatory,
Oh, wow.
meaning the bear isn't just curious,
Yeah.
it's checking you out as a possible meal.
I see.
Black bears are opportunistic omnivores.
Mm-hmm.
They usually try to avoid humans,
Right.
but they can get aggressive when they're hungry
Yeah.
or if they think they have an easy target.
It makes sense.
But these two guys did exactly the right thing.
Good.
They huddled together to look bigger
Smart.
and made sure to stay calm, even though you can hear the fear in their voices on the recording they made.
Oh, wow.
They kept saying, "Stay together, we look bigger together."
Oh, jeez.
Sounds like something out of a movie. Doing that probably saved their lives.
Yeah.
Black bears are often scared off by size.
Right.
And if you look like you're in charge,
Mm-hmm.
by looking bigger and sticking together, those guys made themselves less appealing targets.
Very smart.
Luckily, the bear got bored and wandered off.
You.
But imagine being alone on that trail.
Yeah. No thanks.
Chilling reminder
Yeah.
that even a peaceful run can turn into a fight for your life.
Absolutely.
Really shows how important it is to be prepared.
Yeah.
To know how to react if you encounter wildlife.
Right.
And to realize that nature can be beautiful,
Yeah.
and it can also be really unforgiving.
For sure.
Okay, last story for this part of the deep dive.
Okay.
We're going to a neighborhood that seems totally peaceful
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
until it gets hit by a massive EF4 tornado.
Oh, wow.
And just so everyone knows, an EF4 tornado is capable of crazy damage.
Yeah.
Wind speeds between 166 and 200 miles an hour.
Wow.
We're talking houses, completely flattened cars flying through the air.
Yeah.
It's a force of nature you do not want to mess with.
Definitely not.
Tornadoes are like the ultimate example of nature's raw power.
They are.
And the EF scale helps us figure out how strong they are
Right.
based on the damage they cause.
Makes sense.
And EF4 is like top tier,
Yeah.
capable of just wiping everything out.
Wow.
We have footage from a guy who was inside his house with his family when the tornado hit.
Oh, no.
It starts out so normal, just a regular day.
Okay.
And then, boom,
Oh, gee.
the wind picks up. You hear stuff hitting the house,
Scary.
and you can hear the terror in the guy's voice as he's trying to calm down his wife and daughter,
Oh, wow.
telling them to stay down.
Oh,
It's
man.
like pure unfiltered fear.
Yeah, you can really hear how intense a tornado is when it hits, right?
It's so different from the stuff you usually see on the news.
True.
This is what a natural disaster really looks like.
Oh.
The terror of being caught in something you can't control. The tornado goes right over their house.
Oh, gosh.
And when it's finally over, the guy goes outside. His whole neighborhood is gone.
Oh, my
It's
God.
just rubble as far as he can see.
Wow.
It's crazy how powerful nature can be.
The aftermath of a tornado can be just as bad as the tornado itself.
Yeah.
Losing everything, feeling lost, seeing all that destruction, right?
It's a mental shock that can take years to get over.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that no matter how much we try to build safe lives,
Yeah.
we're still at the mercy of nature.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things we just can't control.
It's kind of humbling, isn't it?
It is.
Makes you realize where you fit in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And it can make you appreciate how fragile and precious life is.
So we've gone from those beginner ski slopes to the chaos of a movie set,
Yeah.
that crazy Zorb accident,
Mm-hmm.
the danger hiding on a peaceful trail,
Right.
and this sheer force of nature.
Wow.
What are your thoughts so far as we wrap up this first part of the deep dive?
You know what gets me is how all these stories are about normal life being interrupted.
Yeah.
1 minute, everything's predictable and routine. And then, bam, everything changes.
Right.
These stories make us question how safe we really are and how much control we actually have.
Yeah.
They remind us that we're all vulnerable to things we don't even understand.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling of vulnerability, even though it's scary,
Yeah.
it can help us grow, become more resilient, and really appreciate the life we have.
It's like a wake-up call,
It is.
telling us to enjoy the good times, appreciate the people around us, and never take our safety for granted.
Yeah, exactly, because these stories show us that life is fragile and unpredictable.
It is.
And it's in those moments of chaos that we really see how strong and resilient and compassionate we can be.
Absolutely.
You know, it's funny how these stories, even though they're kind of scary,
Yeah.
they still really draw us in.
Totally.
Like there's this morbid curiosity thing going on, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like we can't help but look, even though it might freak us out.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
Hmm.
Is it just like some primal instinct?
Well, there's this theory that this morbid curiosity is actually about survival.
Really?
Yeah, like by hearing these stories about danger and disasters,
Mm-hmm.
we're kind of learning how to avoid those situations ourselves.
Oh, interesting.
It's like we're getting ready for the unexpected, mentally and emotionally.
It's like a practice run for disaster.
Yeah, kind of. Like we're facing our fears in a safe way.
Right.
So if we ever come across them in real life,
Yeah.
we might be better at handling them.
That makes a lot of sense.
And that's why these stories, even though they're dark,
Mm-hmm.
can actually be empowering.
Yeah.
They show us how strong humans can be, our
Yeah.
ability to overcome stuff and find meaning even when things are really bad.
One thing that struck me about these stories is like the visual part.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Midnight Rider thing had those 2 videos, and the Zorving accident was filmed,
Mm-hmm.
and the tornado footage.
Right.
It's like seeing it happen just adds a whole other level of intensity.
Definitely. Visuals kind of bypass our brains and go straight for our emotions.
Yeah.
They make it feel more real, more immediate.
Right.
And you
yeah.
react way stronger than if you just heard about it.
It's like you're right there feeling the fear, the chaos, the raw emotion.
Exactly. And that's why those visuals are so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
They show us the horror, but also the bravery, the compassion, the resilience, like
Yeah.
the whole human experience all laid out for you to see.
Makes you think about the people who caught those images and videos,
Yeah.
whether they meant to or not. They become like accidental witnesses to these terrifying events.
Right. And that brings up some interesting ethical questions.
Yeah, like what?
Like, how do we balance the public's right to know
Mm-hmm.
with the privacy and dignity of the people involved?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is.
And how do we make sure these images are used the right way?
Right.
Not just to sensationalize or exploit people. It's
Right.
like we want to learn from these events,
Mm-hmm.
but we also need to remember that these are real people's lives,
Yes.
not just entertainment.
It's a fine line.
It is.
And it's something we need to think about carefully.
Okay, so before we move on to the last part of our deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, out of all these stories,
Yeah.
which one really made you stop and think, wow, there's so much more to this?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah,
I mean, they're all interesting,
right.
but I think the one that really got me thinking is the ski slope accidents.
Oh, yeah.
Especially that statistic about most deaths happening on beginner slopes.
Right.
It makes you rethink what's actually risky.
Totally.
And it suggests there's more going on than just skill level. I'd love to dig deeper into how people see risk,
Yeah.
the whole social dynamic on the slopes,
Right.
and how the environment plays a role in those accidents.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
It's not just about knowing how to ski.
right.
It's about human behavior,
Yeah,
the choices we make, the pressures we feel, and how all of that mixes with the environment
exactly.
to create situations where accidents are more likely to happen.
It's a whole bunch of things all connected.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think we could learn a lot by looking at this kind of accident more closely. It could help us figure out how to manage risk, not just in skiing, but in other things too.
That's a great point. It's like by understanding what's going on in one specific area,
Right.
we can get a better understanding of how human behavior and the environment work together to create risks in all kinds of situations.
Exactly. And knowing that can help us make better decisions,
Yeah.
avoid potential danger, and make things safer for everyone.
As we're wrapping up this deep dive into these real-life horror stories, I keep thinking about how much we want to feel safe,
Yeah,
but also how unpredictable life really is.
right.
It's like we try to create these routines in these perfect little worlds
Yeah.
to make us feel like we're in control.
Mhm.
But then something comes along and just shatters everything.
It's true.
And it reminds us how vulnerable we actually are.
It's a tough thing to come to terms with.
It is.
We want to feel secure. We
Right.
try to control everything around us.
But at the end of the day, we're just part of something much bigger and more complicated.
Yeah. It's like we're always trying to hold back the ocean,
Exactly.
but the water always finds a way through.
And that's where resilience comes in.
Oh, yeah. How so?
It's not about getting rid of risk completely.
Okay.
It's about learning how to adapt, how to deal with uncertainty, how to bounce back from setbacks,
Right.
and how to find meaning even when things are falling apart.
So it's not about being invincible.
No,
It's about being flexible, adaptable, rolling with the punches.
exactly.
Okay.
It's knowing that life's going to throw you curveballs,
Mhm.
but it's how you handle them that matters.
It's like we can't always control the waves, but we can learn to surf.
Exactly. And that brings us back to choice.
Choice.
Yeah, even when we're faced with these huge challenges,
Yeah.
we still have the power to choose how we respond.
That's a good point. It's like even when we feel totally powerless, we still have some say in how things go.
Exactly. We might not be able to control the storm.
But we can choose how we weather it.
And that choice,
Yeah.
that's what helps us find meaning and purpose,
Exactly.
even growth in those tough situations.
It's amazing how these stories show us the different ways people react in extreme situations.
Yeah, some people freeze some panic, some people figure out how to survive.
Right.
It's like there's no one right way to handle a crisis.
Everyone reacts to trauma and stress differently.
Right.
There's no magic formula for how we'll act under pressure.
So true.
It all depends on your personality, past experiences, the specific situation.
It's like we can't judge someone for how they react in a crisis
Whoa.
because we don't know what they're going through
Exactly.
or what experiences have shaped them.
It's all about being understanding and compassionate,
Yeah.
especially toward people who have been through something traumatic.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with feeling scared or shocked
Right.
or needing time to process what happened. It's about creating a space where people feel supported,
Yeah.
where their reactions are acknowledged and respected.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from all of this?
That's a good question. You know, even with all the scary stuff we've talked about, I think the biggest takeaway is this.
What's that?
Even when things are really bad, humans are incredibly resilient.
That's a good point.
These stories aren't just about danger and fear.
Right.
They're about survival, adaptation, and never giving up hope.
I like that. They remind us that even in the darkest times, there's always some light,
There is.
a spark of resilience that can make things better.
And that spark, that strength we all have inside us,
Yeah.
that's what helps us find meaning and purpose and even grow from the most difficult experiences.
It's a good reminder, especially after hearing about such intense and disturbing things.
Yeah.
But it's also a reminder that we're not alone in this.
Absolutely.
We're all facing the unknown together
We are.
with a mix of fear and courage.
That's life.
So to our listener out there, we'll leave you with this. Stay curious, stay informed, but most importantly, stay connected.
Yeah.
Talk to your friends and family, share your stories, and never underestimate how strong you are.
And remember, even in the darkest times, there's always a light waiting to be found.
So true.
Until next time, be well.